Hello and welcome to Season 3 of the Giant and Playground Blood Bowl League. I am finally progressing forwards into another season, and I will soon be done with this season because it kind of petered out halfway through. Given when I decided that I was only going to make videos of some of my games moving forwards in order to take less time about it, I considered just completely skipping Season 3 because, as I say, it kind of petered out just in the middle due to some inactive players and just a general loss of momentum. But then I looked back and remembered that actually some of the games that I did play in Season 3 were really good. So, yeah, so here we are. Although, sadly, there will be no interest in the sort of progression towards playoffs and whatnot in this season, but we still get to watch some decent Blood Bowl. Now, I am of course up against the Murderhobos here, who I beat in fairly convincing fashion in Season 2, but, as I reiterated over and over and over again during that video, they were definitely better than that result would kind of lead you to believe. So I was interested to see how this match would go. It's sweltering heat, which also makes things interesting. Got a slightly odd sort of formation here. Not entirely sure what the reasoning behind it was. I mean, generally, given Wood Elves are less strong but good at dodging, having the pattern with the one free square between players all the way across the pitch, it makes a certain amount of sense because they're not so likely to beat you up, but they could dodge through if they can get a situation where they only have to dodge through one tackle zone rather than two. But I've not done exactly that, so I don't know precisely what the idea here was. Also, there's a vampire on the front line, where usually I would probably want to hold those back to not get beaten up, but I don't know, it's probably relevant to skills and such like, actually. And so Sir Roderick I think he must have block already at this point, but nothing else. So maybe he's less significant, but he's also more difficult to knock over even if they do have a treatment. And wow, that halfling chef. Perfect chef. Oh, okay, it's not sweltering heat. It is a blizzard. That's quite the dramatic change in weather, though it fits this pitch a bit better, since we do seem to have all this snow on the ground, making it difficult for me to see the chat box. This evidently was before I was informed that you can change the opacity of the chat box. So, let us see. His formation is slightly odd. Like, it all makes reasonable sense. I probably would have put the guys in the wide zones actually on the front line, but it all kind of makes sense except for Dane, just kind of randomly not part of any discernible pattern. Unless he already moved, and while I was talking about the weather in the chat box. then it would make more sense. Although if he'd already moved, he'd probably come closer to the ball. And out comes the classic phrase, if you wanted that assist there on the front line, why didn't you put him there to start with? Well, regardless, yeah, Dane oddly positioned, and given that he was there but there was no one correspondingly on the other side of the pitch, I'm surprised they didn't kick to the other side of the pitch where there would be less players near the ball. Regardless, he's forming up a fairly standard little cage here. It could, in theory, go wrong for him if his treeman knocks itself over trying to hit Sir Roderick. But he's probably okay there. And bringing up the scoring threat straight away. Okay, actually looking at it, I realised, yeah, so one reason that I've got ones over on this side of the pitch and twos on the other side of the pitch may have been to encourage him towards the side of the pitch that has Sir Mervyn, who has tackle, diving tackle, because he's obviously very good for this stuff. But, you know, if that was the idea, it clearly hasn't worked, because he's advanced on both sides and put the ball in the middle, which is pretty sensible, because now I have to try and cover the entire pitch, and I only have 11 players to do it with. Okay, so he had 2 journeymen for this match, and a bunch of inducements on top of that, enough to hire a harlock, but no, from a chef, if nothing else. Truman has taken root, so to be honest, that may not actually make any difference under the circumstances, because he can just hold the ball by the treeman, and then he's just going to pass up to one of the war dancers and score. Then end of the drive, treeman is no longer rooted. So, I mean, looking at this, I can't get into that cage. But then the question becomes, do I want to try and start work on the cage? Try and lessen the protection around the ball, or do I want to go and try beat up a war dancer? Obviously the war dancers are more difficult to knock over than some of the guys in the cage will be, but some of the guys in the cage probably also have blodge at this point. And of course, since both war dancers are down and they're on opposite sides of the pitch, I can't really stop both. I can't, knock over. If they were right next to each other, then I could blitz one, knock them over, and then just, crowd guys in around both of them, the prone one and the still standing one. But since they're on opposite sides of the pitch, trying to crowd around both of them would probably mean I'd be leaving my formation otherwise open somewhere. So of course, okay, so I am sending a guy back here. I mean, the other factor into the potential decision making of attacking war dancers is that they are kind of the most valuable players on the enemy team. Okay, so Mervyn, diving tackle and tackle is the sort of perfect marker, except for the war dancers can leap, which ignores both those skills. Well, I mean, tackle obviously has nothing to do with leaping, only dodging. And then diving tackle only, again, it only applies to dodging, not leaping. Right, yes, I wanted... Clearly I wanted to hypnotise Gideon there so that someone, probably, I would guess, so maybe Sir Roderick could run in past Gideon, ignoring that tackle zone, to blitz Ginnerd from the side. Ginnerd is a weird name. Of course, he's a journeyman, so that weird name is nothing to do with Flourish. He didn't name that guy, the game named him. And oh yes, of course. Definite mistake on the part of Flourish, putting his war dancer only one square off the sidelines on the side of the pitch where I have a guy with Frenzy, so I can push him out. Though in fact I'm just going to knock him over, since I do have Mighty Blow and I can get star player points for an injury, except I don't get one, so maybe I should have just pushed him off the pitch as I originally intended. And I used up a reroll on that, which actually kind of questionable. Also, you see, this is what I was saying earlier. The fact that I've kind of targeted both war dancers means that I've left myself relatively more open in the middle of the pitch. On the other hand, if he wants to try and take advantage of that to move forwards, he will have to leave the safety of his treatment. And there is always something to be said for the idea of giving your opponent that sort of opportunity, because, well, if he scores now, I get the ball for most of the half. Given that the sort of 2-1 grind is a fairly standard approach to Blood Bowl, forcing your opponent to score quickly rather than actually stopping them can be a viable strategy. I don't know if I was thinking in those terms. But this is what we have. Now, he's committed 3 of his players to just hitting Sir Jasper and not doing anything to him, so that's pretty nice from my point of view. However, it remains to be seen if anything interesting is going to happen with the ball and so on. Is he just moving the cage across a bit? No. No, Ginnerd is... Maybe it's Ginnerd. Ginnerd. A nerd who drinks gin. Excellent. No way I would use an apothecary on that. And on the skilled thrall, who cares? I mean, he could score this turn, because as I said, Ardent could just leap away from the 2 players marking him, run into the end zone, and then Dane could run up and throw the ball. I mean, it'd be risky, but this is an elf team. What we're looking at here. Okay, see, there we go. I don't think I would have... Well, actually, I suppose... How far across can Dane get? I'm thinking about interception risks here. I suppose... Yeah. He can get all the way up to there where there's no interception risk. Uses up a reroll, but he gets the touchdown. But I mean, the thing is, in practical terms, there wasn't that much I could do to stop him getting that touchdown if he wanted to. However, the fact that he's taking it now does, as I said, mean that I have most of the half with the ball. And I can, at my leisure, score or wait around beating up elves. But he has already, unquestionably, done better than he did last season, where I beat him 3-0. Somehow. So this setup is looking fairly standard. It bears a slight resemblance to mine, actually. Which is fair enough. There are only so many different ways you can set up your guys to sort of just spread tackle zones all the way across the pitch. His guys are only one square back from the line of scrimmage, which means that if a quick snap happens, I could get some extra blocks. Of course, that's not a high probability thing, but it's potentially worth bearing in mind. Okay, so I should be able to hit the two elves on the front line and ignore the treeman, and then probably use my blitz on either Dane or Yorick to try and start driving a wedge up the middle a bit. Alternatively, there is the option of going for Gideon or Kiranel to send someone up one side or other, though then they obviously would have to contend with war dancers. Regardless of what I'm going for, obviously. Oh, of course, there is that. Sir Conrad could push Kiranel off the pitch, because frenzy. Which should always be borne in mind. And so, yep. I think my front line there, yes, in fact, okay, I'm moving the vampires off because it's the thralls who are going to do the blocking. Vampires were just there to be assists. Because this way I still get 2 nice blocks and I don't have to roll Bloodlust. And the placement of Sir Roderick and Sir Jasper, of course, is sort of guarding against an advance by the treeman. Because 2 squares back, so if the treeman wants to blitz one of them, it would require going for it, and it is a blizzard, which makes going for it less likely to work, of course. crucial point. So, I mean, Dreaming could take 1 step forwards. Well, actually, no, it could take 2 steps forwards. No trouble, but that would be it. And a casualty, -1 movement. Of course, that's a journeyman, so no one really cares, other than I now have a numbers advantage moving forwards. And yes, here we are. We are looking at the frenzy. Must always be careful of the sidelines where frenzy is involved. There we go. So Conrad has just played a nice little sort of game of Ring Around the Rosie with Maurice Waters. Obviously going to move some Mervyn up here for marking purposes. And try to hypnotise Gideon, because why not? Yes, and of course now at this point I still have my full 11 players on the pitch. He is down to 9. So I should be still in good stead. Of course, one of those, if I score right away, then one of those players will instantly come back. So that is not something that I should necessarily do. But I will be looking at an 11 to 10 advantage in future drives as well. And yes, now see, this is the impact of War Dancers. Richard Dauntless is pretty much in like the middle of my half, but still, there are War Dancers to be concerned about. As a result, I do not want to take chances, and that is why Sam Debut is forming kind of the front of a cage there. Now Sir Roderick is I'm thinking about where I might want to put him to further block off Gavrilovich's line of approach. Sir Jasper, not sure why Sir Jasper rather than Sir Roderick, but okay, and now there is a risk here that Ardent could leap to the square directly to the right of Raka Debut, dodge out and then run forward and blitz. I should have brought Raka back to be the other front corner of half a cage. I'm not entirely sure why I didn't do that. 1, 2, 3. Yep. Wouldn't even need to go for it. Ah! The treeman has taken root again. This is brilliant, because, of course, in the first drive, the Murderhobos were receiving. They had the ball. Way to earn your pay, tree. Yes. You mean drawing moisture from the soil isn't what you pay him for? Yes, moving costs extra. But yes, whereas in the first drive, the Wood Elves had the ball, so they could kind of control where the action happened. You know, if they kept the ball near the Dreamin', then that would be where it would happen, where things would be going on. Whereas now, I have the ball, so I can just avoid the Dreamin' and the 8 squares around him, and that's another player that just effectively may as well not be on the pitch, so long as I avoid that little 9 square area in the middle of the pitch. And granted, it's right in the middle of the pitch, so it's possibly one of the harder areas to avoid, but still, if I avoid those 9 squares, then I am, at this point, effectively 11 to 8. And yes, I assume that the intention there was for Gavrilovic to be an assist, and then Ardent would have come in and blitzed 2 dice, the way that I was saying before. However, failed either the dodge or the go for it. Dodge! Yes, rolled a 1 twice, Curse of the Elves. Classic case thereof. But of course, even if he made the dodge, he would have also needed going for it, which would have been a 3+. Well, yes, of course, the dodge was a 3+ because it was into 1 tackle zone. The going for it would also have been a 3+ because of the blizzard. And then he would have needed to make another leap in the dodge. That said, I still shouldn't have left that avenue open. But now, because Ardent did not go anywhere, I can hit him, knock him over. So, yes, this is the correct choice, I think. So I don't need to have him in more than 1 tackle zone, particularly when the 1 tackle zone is Sir Mervin's tackle zone. And I want him to be as far away from the ball as I can get him. This is nice, you know, both war dancers prone on the ground. Oh. Something I remember hearing years ago, that possibly prone specifically refers to being like face down on the ground. And of course, if you're playing Blood Bowl tabletop, someone who's just knocked down is, you leave the model face up, and then if it's face down, they're stunned, and then to indicate that they're no longer stunned, just on the floor, you turn them face up again, and then the following turn they get up. But technically the term for being face up on the ground is supine, I think? I might just be making this up. Regardless, both war dancers are prone, and a decent way away from the ball, which means I have a turn or 2 of grace. With all due respect to the rest of the Wood Elf roster, war dancers are the only thing that scare me in the whole team. Okay, let's put Gideon on the sidelines. He's still hypnotised, of course, because he hasn't done anything since he was hypnotised. Yeah, it's probably only 1 turn's grace from the bouncers. 1 turn will be enough for them to get close enough to be a threat again. So yeah, Gavrilovich could actually have gotten into base-to-base contact with my cage there. Could have made it going for it and blitzed Maurice Waters. Or, yeah, Racket Debut, or whichever Murgatroyd that is, but Maurice Waters would have been the easiest target. Though Racket Debut would have offered the possibility of a chain push, if you wanted me. Dane looks like he wants to be an assist there. I'm not sure how well that's going to work out for him, because since Gideon is hypnotised, he doesn't have a tackle zone, which means Han Morris is still assisting for me if Arden were to get up and try to blitz. Okay, 2 assists, which will now get him 1 dice. Because Gideon, again, still hypnotised. 3 assists, you can get 2 dice without needing to unhypnotise his line elf. And Sir Mervyn does not have dodge, so there you go. Of course, at this point you have effectively 8 players on the pitch, and you have committed 4 of them to that 1 blitz on the opposite side of the pitch to where the ball is. So I'd say that is a questionable strategy, because there is absolutely nothing to prevent Richard Dauntless moving his full allotment of 6 up the pitch on my next turn. And all you've done to Sir Mervyn is knock him down. Next turn he'll get up, possibly blitz someone. Marky War Dancer again. Where I have a numbers advantage, and my 2 players are tying up 5 enemy players. There's no downside to this for me. Yes, it indeed may not have been the most efficient use of players. So at this point I just want to move my cage up and hit someone. Possibly 2 someones. One Morris could get a block. I don't know, it would be difficult to make it favourable. The question, of course, is whether I want Sir Mervyn to stand up and blitz, or if I want to make a blitz somewhere over closer to the ball, possibly blitz Yorick. Focusing on what matters. Clearly, I want to blitz Yorick, and doing it specifically with a thrall, because again, don't need to roll Bloodlust on thralls. It's an odd point that the vampires obviously are the best players on the team, stat-wise, and they have amazing skill access. But once you get skills on some of the thralls, you start to want to do things with them more, because you don't have Bloodlust on them. It's more reliable. You know for a fact that they will do exactly what you want them to do, without requiring any additional dice rolls. this is potentially more relevant to me under the present circumstances where I only have 2 rerolls, as opposed to my usual 5. I mean, in general, while playing this team, I preferred to avoid risks like that. I mean, all of Blood Bowl is a game of, you know, risk mitigation, but it's more so with vampires, because there are more, with the bloodlust thing, there are more risks available to, as it were. There are more things you could do that could be risky. So, yep. That bloodlust worked. I have, I think, enough of a cage there to be safe. I might want to leave Sir Conrad and Sir Jasper just where they are, because they're still kind of in the way of Gavrilovich. And lack of bloodlust was. Oh, not sure about that idea. But what I was probably doing there was looking at Jerai's movement, or maybe I'm just looking at it now. So yeah, it does look to me like he could get around and blitz Richard Dauntless, which is why Sir Roderick should have been part of a cage rather than advancing up on the guy who potentially blitz. Send Sir Conrad to Mark Gavrilovich. I mean, war dancers are liable to get out of such things, but try and hypnotize him again. Why am I so focused on trying to hypnotize this one elf? I'm not entirely sure. Actually ran out of time on that turn. Some questionable decisions there, trying to hypnotise Jerai rather than just shoring up my defences right on my ball carrier. But okay, he's not blitzing there. No, how far can Ardent get to? Ardent could blitz with dodge, leap, going for it. Something like that. Leap, dodge, going for it. It's a possibility. Whereas that was a really strange decision on my part. Particularly while obviously, while playing the game, I did not know what in the future I would be talking about at the specific moment in the video, but at the particular moment when I was talking about how I want to avoid all these risks. On the other hand, there we go, he's had to use up a reroll on that. I've been doing well at conserving my rerolls. That is definitely a thing. And that's a thing where his possibly questionable focus at times, certainly on his last turn, has helped me, because it's allowed me to do what I want to do without taking as many risks as I might otherwise need to do those things, which allows me to conserve my rerolls, which I have less of. I mean, this is a general thing, like, halfling chefs are all very well. You can reduce your opponent from 4 rerolls to 1, 5 to 2. I mean, that requires you to roll very nicely on the chef, but it's a possibility. If you can do that, then that's great. They have less rerolls. But having less rerolls is meaningless if they don't actually need them. So, I mean, under those circumstances, really, you really want to be kind of forcing them to roll some more dice. This probably won't look. That could almost be the motto of an elf team. This probably won't work. Right. Failed the go for it. Yeah, I really shouldn't have had that opening in the cage to allow him that option. What even was I saying? Yes, while it might seem counterintuitive if you have a lower team value, and particularly something like Wood Elves versus Vampires, they're stronger than you are, they may have more fighting skills than you do. You kind of want to hang back where you're safe. But the thing is, if you do that, then they can just do whatever they want. And you don't want them to do just whatever they want. You want them to be restricted in the things that they can do. Remembering to hit the blitz button on this occasion. Will not have a repeat of the match against the Daggers in Season 2. I don't know if I'm actually going to score right away. Do something else. Yes, but yeah, you can't just totally ignore an enemy team. You need to try and make things difficult for them. Make them roll those dice. Particularly because, like, that's where a lack of rerolls, possibly they're even more lacking in rerolls than they would otherwise be because of a halfling chef. That's where that will really come into play. Whereas if you just sort of try and stay out of their way and run off, go, please don't hurt me, please don't hurt me, then they don't have to roll that many dice, they don't need to re-roll that many dice, and your halfling chef is meaningless. I suppose that's something which I should probably try to continue talking about over the course of the 3 videos that I'm going to do for Season 3. It's choice of inducements, because one of the things at the time was, since we had a bunch of new coaches, new teams coming in, and being matched up against teams like, mine, Shishnapis, and so on. There are a lot of people who kind of felt like they couldn't compete. The inducements weren't enough to actually give them a chance. And the thing is, I strongly disagree. But perhaps at times some teams didn't make the most optimal use of their inducements, which, to be fair, there's no guidance on it, but there's no guidance on anything really in Blood Bowl. You're kind of expected to learn it by experience, or by looking things up on the internet, or by other people telling you what's a good idea and what's not. So that's certainly something I could talk about. Although, that said, it would be easier to talk about that stuff if I was going to make a video of the game I played against a starting team, rather than games I played against more established teams. I'm sure I'll find an opportunity to talk about inducements at some point, at any rate. If at no other point, then when I get up past Season 3 and we get into Season 4 and Season 1 of the Legacy League, because there I was in the position of using inducements to take a starting team against more highly leveled teams. So now, let's look at this. In theory, Gavrilovich could, with a couple of dodges and a leap and 2 going for it, blitz Richard Dauntless. It took me a moment to remember who had the ball. Ardent also might not be able to. He would only need 1 going for it. Of course, it's not going to be easy because obviously I've got those tackle zones there. I have deliberately made it difficult for any such Wood Elf shenanigans. And then, of course, there's the possibility, well, what if he just gets a push? I mean, he has strict ball, I have short hands, they cancel out. So, if he just gets a push out of that, he would push me into the end zone and I score. But looks like that's what he's going for. Yes, that was possibly the more sensible way of doing it, though it needs an extra going for it. And there we go. The Blizzard really coming through for me. Because he's the one making all the going for it. And I suppose that probably factored into my thoughts at the time. I mean, well, yes, both weather conditions. When initially it was sweltering heat, that probably would have favoured me if it had actually played out. Simply because I have more players on my roster, and he was possibly more likely to suffer injuries. He was more likely to suffer injuries at my hands. Odds are that most of the casualties in this game will be caused by me, whether they're on my players or enemy players. Then the Blizzard also, because I'm just looking to play a very safe running game. I'm going to pick up the ball and slowly walk it up the pitch in the middle of a cage. I'm not looking to be making long passes, which of course are impossible in a Blizzard, or going for it. I don't want to be taking those risks, partly because it's a Blizzard, partly because I have less rerolls than I usually would, but also just in general. I am perfectly happy to move at a slower pace. And so, as a result, he is the one who is really going to be hit by the Blizzard, while I don't think it has affected me at all yet. I don't think I've made a going for it. again, it's entirely possible that I would have made some go for it if it wasn't a blizzard. Okay, now this is interesting. Because obviously I could score here, but I kind of don't want to. I kind of want to drag it out. I don't want to give him 2 turns to get to 2-1. I'm giving myself the option that, you know, if he has 2 more turns receiving, it's not particularly likely that I could take the ball away from him and score myself in the 2 turns that I would have. It's much more likely that he would score and thus have a lead going into the second half. I would rather that it was 1-1 going into the second half, and that that then, of course, I will be receiving, so I can finish off the standard 2-1 grind strategy. And so I am setting up this not entirely complete cage right by his end zone. I would not describe it as safe as houses. Well, unless you live in some relatively unsafe houses. But obviously, I thought that it was secure enough that I didn't expect him to be able to get the ball far away, at least. There's a possibility that with some luck he could knock it loose, but then he'd need more luck to actually get it away from there, rather than just leaving it in a position where I can easily pick it up again and score next time regardless. Because I don't need to wait until turn 8, only turn 7, so that he will only have 1 turn to try and equalise. I mean, there's the option of a 1-turn touchdown with chain pushing and stuff, but I don't think I knew about that at the time I played this game. I don't think he knew about it either, which obviously is handy. And I mean, the other reason for potentially postponing to turn 8 would be if there were knockouts, but there aren't. Because, of course, if I score on turn 7, then there is an extra drive before the end of the first half. A very short drive, but it's still a drive, which means another opportunity for knockouts to wake up. However, no one has as yet been knocked out on either team, so it really doesn't matter. Matter. That might be the first time that I have actually quoted a song from Ruddigore in one of these videos where I've been playing with the Ruddigore gallery. Fails the leap. Excellent. Was nicely set up. On his part. Okay, so I want Sam debut to make this blitz to push Gideon down the sideline, because again I don't want to risk a bloodlust screwing me over. the niggle is obviously insignificant as far as I'm concerned. The relevant point is that the player, unless he uses the apothecary, which he's still thinking about, no, he did not use the apothecary. The relevant point to me is that that player will not be around for the rest of the match. Our numbers advantage is increasing, even though obviously that guy that I pushed off the sidelines earlier will come back and the treatment might not take root in future. Possibly. Maybe. And I still have an 11 to 9 advantage. Which, well, on offense, it certainly should be fine for me. Should I score again and give him enough time to try and score back on me, on defense, I mean, it'll certainly be a help to have more players, but Wood Elves can score with 9 players just fine. Depending on the conditions, Wood Elves can score with like 5 players. 3 to go on the line of scrimmage, 1 to retrieve the ball, and 1 to run in the touchdown. That's a fairly extreme hypothetical instance, but it could happen. And so, just setting up again, same as before, I assume. Excuse any background noise, I'm just fiddling around with my headphones, taking this opportunity to close the curtains because it's getting late. Well, not late, it's getting dark. This Wood Elf team sadly denuded of additional players. I mean, I suppose this is a potential factor. This is a potential point regarding the inducement thing. Halfling Chef, definitely a reasonable choice. Vampires can have problems when they are deprived of rerolls. But given the situation of Murderhobos themselves, a case could have been made for possibly inducing some extra players, although I suppose no, I think you get the journeymen before you get your inducements. So the journeymen bring you up to 11, and then you could induce additional players, which would get you actually some reserves, and that could have been a viable option here, because you don't want to end up with that numbers disadvantage, and you have that almost team-wide armor 7, so it's a serious risk. Deep, just in case of a riot, giving him an extra turn so he'd actually have a chance to score. Though I get a touchback. Odds of that are pretty low though. So there's nothing really in particular to say about the end of this half. We're both just going to try and pick up some extra star player points. We'll hit each other. He'll probably throw a pass. And that'll be it. entirely sure why this takes so much thought. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, like, I definitely, in his position, might have considered getting a star player. I mean, I quite like getting star players as inducements in general, but in his case it would be because, you know, inducing extra linemen is not likely to make that big a difference, though, I mean, it could, because having any reserves will definitely be a difference over having no reserves. But on the other hand, you get a star player, and then, you know, you have a 12-man roster, so, you know, you can have one player in reserve, and the Wood Elf star players could be worrying to deal with. Look at that. Treeman didn't take root. Also didn't do anything useful. So, you know, swings and roundabouts. He didn't try to throw a pass. Strange. Looks like his chosen blitz target is Roderick Murgatroyd. There we go. Did it do anything? No. He could re-roll it. He should re-roll it. Yes. Still doesn't do anything. But at this point, nothing else to do. Still have re-rolls left. Rerolls are worth nothing if you still have them left at the end of the half. So, it'd be interesting, I suppose, if you could somehow carry them over. Like, if you have rerolls left at the end of the first half, you get to keep them in the second half and add them on to the number that you'd usually have. Be odd to change your strategies and how many rerolls you buy potentially. Now the only question really is, who do I blitz with? Oh no, there is another question. The other question is, can I get 3 dice rather than 2? And the answer is yes. And of course, by blitzing this way, I potentially, if I hadn't knocked Yorick over with the 3 dice, then Stephen North could also have blocked him. I'm setting it up to give myself the most possible opportunities for star player points. Didn't get any, but you have to try these points. These little things over time, multiple matches and so on, will probably make a little bit of difference. Again, same stuff. And we come back to setup. Seems he perhaps has not yet learned the sideline frenzy lesson. Yorick is ripe to be crowd-surfed. He is now 2 squares back, and thus immune to extra blocks from Quick Snap, which didn't happen, so I'm not entirely sure where he got that from. Now, see, that setup, Gavrilovich and Jamie, that is more sensible. That I can't frenzy out the sidelines. Well, in theory I could, but I would need to dodge into 2 tackle zones before making the blitz. It's not out of the question, but it's not hugely likely. But yeah, Yorick, prime target for a crowd surf, as I said. So I want Sir Conrad over there to perform said surf. I probably want Matthew Baker to actually get on the pitch instead of Maurice Waters. Yep, there we go. Because Maurice has no skills, and Matthew has a skill. So yes, I want to be looking at this sort of setup again. Two thralls to each elf, ignore the treeman, but restrict its potential movement. Richard Dauntless in a standard position in the middle of my half, ready to retrieve the ball. As I recall, I think I read somewhere that there are like some custom skin packs or something for Blood Bowl, which make some of the players look different. Also can reskin some of the pitches, including putting a marker on the centre square of your hut, presumably to just make it easier to place whoever you want to retrieve the ball. Okay, and my fans couldn't wait for Yorick to be pushed into them before beating him up. They had to just throw a rock at him right off the bat before the kick landed, which rather throws off my plans for this turn. Yes, the halfling chef definitely did earn his pay. He's still in a total of 5 out of a potential 6 rerolls over the course of the match. So yes, with my crowd surf not available, I'm going to instead go and beat up this catcher, who gets a niggling injury. And I believe we are now at 11 players versus 8. So this does not look good for the Wood Elves. Not good at all. On the other hand, he still has 2 War Dancers, and therefore he could still do some crazy plays. Tying that War Dancer probably won't do anything, because probably all he was going to do was wait. Oh no, it does do something. It allows me to move a guy past him without needing to dodge. Yes, this of course is kind of a better use of Hypnotic Gaze than just randomly doing it to everyone you end in face-to-face contact with. because the one time that they are guaranteed to still be hypnotised is during the turn that you hypnotise them. So you do it to just remove the tackle zone so you can run past. And there we go. Let's see, this time I've got both front corners of the cage. It might be possible for Gabriel to get around behind. 2, 4, 6, in theory, but it's not hugely likely. I think there will be at least one going for it required. And we've seen how his luck with going for it has been over the course of this match so far, with the blizzard and everything. So perhaps a more conservative approach might be in order. On the other hand, numbers advantage, conservative plays in the long run do kind of favour me. So, we'll see. Oh yes, of course there's that, I suppose, is launch and cancels assists there. No wait. Sir Jasper already has guard, doesn't he? I think he already has guard. Also, if he wants to leap in there, he needs... Okay, right, yes. Getting Dane out of the way means he can do it with a more normal dodge, or 2 more normal dodges. And then the leap. Still only be 1 dice. I'm not entirely sure what else he can do. I have rather thoroughly advanced on him, so if he wants to kind of set up the thin green line, as we would like to call it, well, I mean, he really needs to cover the whole pitch, and he doesn't have enough players to do it with. So if he doesn't take the ball away from me somehow, I'm moving forward with it on my next turn. Which does put him in a potentially troublesome position, debating where to move everyone and so on. I think that's it, though. He's got to set up these defences, and so I guess that's why he's just sent 2 guys back there. So they'll definitely be able to sort of move to intercept my guys next turn, if and when things go wrong for him. And here we are. Of course, he has to do this. He has to dodge away from some other. Well, he's using the leap first. That means that the later dodge will be much more difficult. And in fact, he just fails the leap. Or maybe he was just going to let Sam rather than go for much more. But Gavrilovich is stunned. Ardent way back in his half, so I have a bit of a sort of grace period again. Maybe a turn. And it might not sound like much, but one turn where you don't have to worry about war dancers feels like a pretty big deal to me, given some of the crazy stuff that war dancers can do. But that's talk for another game. I mean, yeah, see, Richard Dauntless just cheerfully standing right next to the stunned Gavrilovich. Because I have this brief grace period in which I don't have to worry about the balances. Because I think I might be planning to blitz Ardent, him being the only real threat to me. But first, things which take no rolls, so just marking up. Because, yeah, I feel like it's unlikely that he'll hit me, more likely he'll just dodge away. And, ooh, that where I was going for it, which I have thus far avoided. Apparently I'm not going to blitz Ardent, I'm just going to stick a vampire in his way and hypnotize him. Dane here. Knocking down. My video's lagging. There it remains again. He's only knocked down, so I have to keep an eye on him. I really need to probably move Cat and Sir Roderick away from the tree man. But yeah, I suppose that still works, so that I can cover which dogs from the front in that way. Yeah, the danger of a frontal attack on Richard Dauntless at this point is not so much. An attack from the rear can only come from Kira now, who, for one thing, is a runner. Journeyman. Unfortunate bloodlust, but I see. Oh, am I going to go there and bite Cat? Surely a better option would be to go to the square next to Gavrilovich and bite Cat, or to go to that square that I'm pointing at right now and bite Sam. I feel like this is a mistake. I'm opening up the back of my cage, so it would have been. I mean, obviously there's not much that can get to the back of my cage, which is obviously a factor. The front is more of a concern, because that's where most of the players are, but still, maybe better to incorporate Sir Roderick into the back of my cage before biting Cat, or to just mark up Kira now, who is the one who can actually get to the back of the cage. The Treeman, the Ruddigore Gallery would like to take this opportunity to categorically deny all claims that the one Sir Riven Murgatroyd chose to bribe the treeman not to move as one of his daily crimes before this match. Definitely didn't happen. And if it did, then I want my money back, because clearly broke our deal by moving one square earlier. Yeah, see, like, I should have put Roderick where Kirinel now is, because then Kirinel couldn't be there. I suppose he could then be in the square to one side of Richard Dauntless, which, on the other hand, I could have just had Mr. Roderick mark Kirinel, so then he would have needed some difficult dodges, and Cat would still have been there. I think that may well have been the best option, because, I mean, this is the thing, like, Cat is kind of the less valuable thrall in general between Cat and Sam, but in terms of the positioning at a specific moment, Cat was more relevant because of being right next to the ball. But regardless, I mean, he's just doing guys in. Is he going to try and actually blitz the ball carrier? I think he may be about to do that. Yes, he is. I remember this. Makes the leap, and yes, makes the leap with a reroll, I think. And there we go, ball knocked loose. See, I could have avoided this in either of the two ways that I mentioned just before. It was a foolish mistake on my part. Now I'm going to have to retrieve the ball before I can do stuff with it. On the plus side, that War Dancer is going into the crowd. He should have followed up, really. Because, you know, if he followed up, it would be more difficult to push him into the crowd. I have to use a blitz on it. Probably. Yeah. Pretty sure I'd have to use a blitz on it. And this, as I recall, this is basically double skulls. This is basically the reason that I wanted to make a video of this particular game. Now, I probably should have moved Sam to there before taking that block. It's easy to think, oh no, it's totally safe, but double skulls happen. And so, and you should always do the things which require no rolls before the things which require some rolls. Yes. That's a difficult choice to knock him down or move him away from the ball. Apparently I knock him down. So yeah, everything is in a much more problematic state for me at this point. Naturally I buy a cat, because fight Thor that are not standing. And the badly hurt is actually good for me, because there is now no longer a prone thrall between Richard Dauntless and the ball, which is brilliant. It's crazy that causing a casualty on my own player actually turned out to be favourable to me, but that's the way it is. Them's sometimes the breaks with vampires. And then I double skull. Before we get to this. So, yes, this is the reason why why I really wanted to make a video of this match, because of this whole section in which there's just chaos around the ball, which, as I have already observed, there didn't need to be, because I could have actually made it a bit safer. But, you know, we all make mistakes, and this obviously was one of mine. And now I have to just try and show my quality in recovering from said mistake. At least I have 2 tackle zones on the ball. This is not always enough against elves. Well, against anyone, but elves are more so likely to make the crazy rolls. Well, the point is that the rolls need to be less crazy for elves to make them. So, yeah, that worked. Now, I could, between Sir Roderick and Sam, I could push Gavrilovich off the pitch. Apparently, I possibly don't want to do that. Yes, I'd rather just hit both of these guys than get one of them off the pitch. And that bloodlust. That's a problem. See, this is kind of... For a moment there, I thought I had double skulled again after using the reroll on the bloodlust, which would be crazy. Do not fuck them up, so now I get 2 dice on the War Dancer. I can use Wrestle. But I guess what I really want is to just get him away from the ball. Okay. I'll get him away. And yes, this is... oh, and of course I do still have the option of potentially pushing Gavrilovich off the pitch, or pushing Kiranel off the pitch with just a block. That would definitely work. I was so worried I was going to fail Bloodlust there. But, yeah, I mean, while this isn't working out so well for the Wood Elves, marking Gavrilovich, I suppose that's a relevant point. One more tackle zone on the ball. But, yes, what I've been trying to say for about 5 minutes or so is that although this isn't necessarily working out so well for the Wood Elves, they've been putting players near me so that I've been needing to roll things. I mean, partly it's that I've been failing Bloodlust rolls, but it's also, I suppose, that I needed... I was in a situation where I needed to do things with my vampires. I couldn't just cheerfully leave them standing around doing nothing. See, like now, I'm actually possibly going to make going for it for the first time in the match. Possibly I forgot that it was a blizzard. What with all the crazy stuff going on, I really should have dodged right out to blitz Gavrilovich off the pitch. Wouldn't even have needed to go for it, just the dodge. Since I managed the first going for it with Matthew Baker, I know that the roll would have been enough for that dodge. So yeah, I should have done that, then there would have been no War Dancers on the pitch. And I would have been feeling much safer, only needing to deal with 4 elves. But I didn't do that. That's foolish of me. I hadn't used my blitz that turn, had I? I really don't think I had. Now he's just going for the standard War Dancer 1 dice. Ball carrier. Needs to reroll the leap. That's a good start for me. Gets a push, which is a good finish for me, because I have short hands, and so strip ball does nothing. I also have fend. Forgot about that. Not such a commonly chosen skill, but a useful one in some circumstances at least. Well, now, War Dancer or no War Dancer, it is starting to look like things are swinging back into my favour again. I have the ball. I can just take a couple of blocks to clear Dane and Yorick out of the way. And I can block Jedi as well, and just move everything up the pitch, away from the War Dancer. The War Dancer is behind me. When the guy trying to take the ball away from you is behind you, it's always kind of helpful, because it means he's running to catch up. On the other hand, he's still a War Dancer, so don't count the chickens. Hatched or not, just don't count chickens. They don't like it. They have an objection to counting. Some sort of cultural thing. So, Yorick pushed away. Dane. Pushed away, rather than wrestled to the ground. Oh right, I'm going to take the... I think I'm going to take the second block with Roderick. Oh no, nope. Just wanted him... I suppose, yes, this gets Sam also out of the way. The fact that your own players can block your movement path is a point not to be neglected. Oh no, I am still going to take that second block. Or not. I think about things. Better to make sure everything is secure first. Cover the elf on the sidelines. Things do not look particularly good for Gavrilovic's chances of getting in, and that makes them worse, because he would need to dodge away from Sir Mervyn. There we go. Elf knocked over. Yep. I mean, one could still debate the wisdom of marking Gavrilovich with Sir Mervyn rather than just leaving Sir Mervyn pretty much where he was as an obstacle on the way to the ball. Bringing Sir Conrad back makes it work, because then, you know, I'm keeping my sort of cage tight and marking Gavrilovich. But, I mean, as a general rule, essentially there are two ways that you can try and stop someone that's in a ball carrier. You can try and stop them at the start of the blitz, where they are, or you can try and stop them at the end of the blitz, where your ball carrier is. The latter is fairly standard, you just form a cage. The former is less so, because obviously equal numbers of players on the teams, so you can't really mark everyone. But if there's, you know, just one or two particular players that you're particularly worried about, then yeah, you can just mark them so that they can't even start the blitz, can't even get close to the ball carrier. However, generally, the division that you make is that you cage up more against agile teams, because you mark them, they just dodge away, and they still get at you. So you want the defences around the ball carrier so they cannot be avoided. Like, if you want to blitz the ball carrier, you have to go past these guys. Tries to make the crazy dodges. This is at the point where it's desperation plays, and I pretty much got it in the bag. Particularly since at this point we're well out of reach of the War Dancer. Got that in a turn's grace. Not to mention an opportunity to hit him. Yes, whereas against strength teams, it's more of a thing that against strength teams you actually are more likely to go for the marking option, because the stronger players are possibly less agile, therefore can't make the dodges away. So they're stuck with the option of just to hit the guys marking them, can't get to the ball carrier. Here, obviously, I was doing the reverse, but I did also lock the cage so that he evidently kind of felt he had no real option but to try that blitz with the crazy dodges from Jarrah. And so, like now, looking at this, in this situation, if I still had 2 rerolls, it wouldn't really make a difference. So the Halfling Chef, in the long run, didn't necessarily matter that much. On the other hand, if the Wood Elves had more players left, that could make the world of difference. Maybe not at this point, but like a couple of turns ago, that could have made the world of difference if they had more players. And so this is what I mean about the whole inducement thing. If you pick the right inducements, it definitely can make a difference. And also, part of it is, playing around the differences between your teams and playing around the inducements that you have. This is really the point where it's just, you can't do anything, so I can just kind of muck about a bit, do whatever. As I recall, I'm going to try and hit the treatment at this point in a minute, because it's going to be the only player left standing. Yeah, I've set this up to maximise the number of times that I can hit Yorick, but there we go, knock him over on the second attempt, and now the treatment is the only player left standing. But it is actually impossible for him to get to the ball carrier, so why would I not try to just stack everyone up on the treatment, get 2 dice on it? This pause was probably me counting squares from Dane to whoever has the ball. Is it Richard? Probably Richard. counting squares from Dane to Richard. Be sure. And also counting up how much strength I could muster. Yeah, it is Russian. Because of course I need to have 3 assists for Sir Conrad to get 2 dice on the treatment. Of course, at this point I have a problem because one of my assists is going to eat another one of my assists. So I have to move in another one. But I can get all the way around there. And so here we go. Try to beat up the treatment. And I double skull! After all that, double skulls. The Conrad knocks himself over and then has to immediately leave the pitch to eat something. That probably serves me right. Yes, counting it out now, Dane is exactly too far away. With 2 going for it, he can't even get into face-to-face contact. Of course, that was it! Yes, that's his incredibly desperate attempt he can do, which I had missed, I admit. I only looked at Dane because he was the closer player. And I didn't notice that Quintus had a giant ball. Also, like, no one expects the catcher blitz. Maybe I should make a team, or scaling team, and name it the catcher, or the gutter runner. Spanish Inquisition, just so then I can then use him to blitz and say no one expects the Spanish Inquisition, except then people get used to it and they'll expect it, so it wouldn't work anymore. I should do that, say it a bit, and then get him killed once the joke has run its course. There we go, just gonna set everyone up all the way back here, except for the 3 people who have to go on the line of scrimmage to get beaten up. Obviously, there is that whole hypothetical 1-turn touchdown thing, but even if we were aware of it at the time, he doesn't have enough players to do it, I don't think. I mean, spacing out the front line also makes it more difficult, but yeah, not enough players. And so here we go. Final star player point farming turn for the Wood Elves. And then that will be it. And a pitch invasion. Oh dear lord. You just can't catch a break here. Regardless, it was a much closer match than last time we played each other. More representative, I think, of Furish's skill as a coach, even though obviously I still won. He did that wrong. That was a handoff, not a pass. Probably why he just said oops. You don't get star player points for handoffs. It is possible to throw a pass with no actual gap between the players if you click the pass button rather than just clicking on the player you want to give the ball to. Regardless, nothing in particular is going to happen here. And there we go, that is the match, I believe. Quite a long one. I thought a lot about some of those things that I made. Stats took a little while to load. Leave that. No, I would not like to reroll that 6. I guess maybe the clicking wasn't doing anything. Yeah. Which would be why I stopped the recording there. And separately recorded the stats. So, I only actually caused 2 casualties myself, apparently. Yes, Oliver McGree definitely deserved that MVP. He did some very good not being on the pitch for most of the game. Yeah. I only caused 2 casualties, but they suffered 5. 2 of them, I think, were from crowd pushes, but I don't know, whatever. It was, regardless, a pretty good game, even if things didn't work out for the Wood Elves. Between Blizzard and some of their inducements not being as helpful as they might have been, and the treatment doing nothing. I will see you for my next video, my 3rd match of Season 3.